High Plains Technology says it's time for school.
All right, looking at the traffic and the clock, it's actually time for school. Now, I'm talking about High Plains Technology, and this morning we've got Katie and Pake. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good. So my name is Katie Shirley, and I've got Pake Carlson with us today, and Pake is our construction trades instructor. So Pake, tell us a little bit about how you got to High Plains.
Well, that's a scary story a little bit. Good morning, by the way. Well, it all started back when I was a senior in high school. I actually took the construction class myself. I went to school in Buffalo, and my junior and senior year, I decided to give construction a go. And turned out I actually liked it and was pretty good at it, actually. I had a natural ability, I guess you could say. And so went through the course, and my last year there, I started doing some on-job training with a local company. Probably a lot of you guys that are out there will know Randy Glitch Construction, local guy, been around a long time. He hired me on, and I spent almost 9 years, almost 10 years working with him. Kind of worked my way up through the ranks, started out as the low guy on the totem poles, we all do, and kind of led up to a lead carpenter role, if you will. Really enjoyed it. Working with my hands has always been something I really enjoyed. And we actually were working on Mrs. Riley's, Amber Riley's house. We built her a new home. And she approached me one day, said, hey, you're kind of doing good in your career. You seem like you got it going on. You ought to think about taking Mr. Hoke's job, who was my instructor at the time when I was in school. And I very strongly stated, nope, that's not for me. I am not no teacher. And kind of left it at that. But I don't know what it was, but something made me think about it more and more. Obviously, it was another, several months before Mr. Hoke actually retired. And long story short, I went ahead and applied for the job. Something changed my mind. I got it. And here I am, 10 years later, and I never looked back. I'm glad I decided to do it. I really enjoy what I'm doing. So that's how I got here.
That's awesome. I love that story. And so you said you went to Buffalo High School.
I did.
And rode the bus over your junior and senior year. Okay, awesome. And so now 10 years later, that's great. And you recently were elected to be the president-elect for Skills USA Trades and Industry.
No, hold on.
Division. Okay. You tell me what you got elected.
So I ran for election for president-elect of OKACTE cluster of architecture and construction. I'm president of that cluster.
Okay.
Of OKACTE.
Okay. That's awesome. And so that you had to interview or send in?
Really, you just applied and then voted. Everybody voted you in. So the votes were sent out of all OKCT members, and they voted on me. Yeah.
Okay. And so last week you went to Durant and got to do a leadership training and learn a little bit more about the role you're going to be in.
I did. Learned a lot about OKCT, more than I already knew, and some leadership training, and what my role is going to be. So it's a 2-year term, maybe even a 3. I know this year I'm president-elect, and then next year I'll serve as the president. So this year's kind of a training period. And then I think, if I'm correct, we come back as past president too, to be like an advisor, basically. So
that's awesome. So tell us a little bit about Skills USA and what that is and what all that entails for the students.
Well, Skills USA is pretty awesome. I was in it as a student too. What it is it's our CTSO, or our Career Tech Student Organization. Like in high school, everybody knows what FFA is. That's their student organization. Mm-hmm. Well, Skills USA is ours in the Career Tech system for trades and industry, which is what we are in construction. And like I say, I was in it. I competed. We compete in contests throughout the year. We have cabinet making, we have a framing, and there's also a teamworks contest that we're part of every year. And that's obviously one of the big driving things I use a lot in class. Everybody loves the competition. It's a lot of fun. It's competitive, which is what I like about it. And it's valuable training because you put these kids in these stressful, time-limited situations and really see what they've learned and what they can do. Right. And they can really go a long ways because we have a regional level, a state level, and there's even a national level. We compete every year. And I did the same thing. I didn't make it to nationals, but I competed both years in regional and state in cabinet making. And it taught me a lot. Like I say, that it's hard to put a kid in a real world situation in the classroom.
Right.
But when you put them out there in front of a group of people and there's judges watching and there's time constraints and all that, it's great. It really shows a lot of growth that they get out of it,
Yeah.
So.
And then you also, part leading up to those bigger contests, you do the in-house.
I do. That's how I choose my students. All of my students compete against each other in our in-house contest. Mm-hmm. And then the top 4 from in-house is what goes on to the regional level. And then, of course, they can progress from there depending on how they do.
Okay. So how have some of your students done? Have you done that all 10 years? Have
yes.
you taken
I've
students?
always been a big, advocate or whatever of Skills USA. I think it's one of the best things that I do or we can do in the career tech system. And on top of the skills that they're learning and putting to the test, there's a whole nother side that we do also, the leadership opportunities. Just like FFA, there's speech contest and parliamentary procedure and things that they're learning. I have class officers that are, Skills USA, basically. They can run for state office.
And we have a couple that did recently run.
Yes. So Yasmin Reyes and Kellen Kanzler, last year they ran for office, Skills USA state office, and lo and behold, they both got elected. So right now, Kellen is our current historian, and Yasmin is our current state president for Skills USA.
That is incredibly impressive, all the way from
it is.
Woodward, High Plains Tech Center, to have 2 state officers. And we have never had a state officer in Skills USA.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, at High Plains History. So congrats on that.
And they're doing awesome.
Pake, I guess probably a shift from back when you worked with Randy Glitch and built homes and stuff. And then you drive down the road and you go, I built that.
Oh, absolutely. I get to do that all
feeling?
the time.
You know that feeling?
Yeah.
So now it's kind of shifted to watching your students and going, I might have had a little part in that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so it's kind of shifted, but it's equally rewarding.
Exactly. I totally get it. Like you're saying, I can look at what I've done, physically around Woodward. And now I can kind of see, like students, what I'm doing for other people as far as their, where they fit, I guess.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
And I actually can even personally attest to what we just kind of were talking about with one of Pake's previous students just 2 years ago. He would have had a student, Braxton Pummel, placed first in the state in, was it cabinet making?
He was carpentry, framing, basically.
Got to go to nationals.
He actually went to nationals twice. As his first year. My program is a 2-year program to complete it, that is. He came in as a junior his first year and made it to nationals in carpentry, and he ended up placing 6th in the nation.
Okay.
And then he came back this senior year, and he placed 4th in the nation. So, he did awesome. I mean, there's not much you can say. I mean, he was, I can still remember he was mad at himself because he said, it's like kissing your sister getting 4th because the top 3 get to go on stage, and get represented. And so he was right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, he did awesome. I mean, there's no
4th in nationals. So
4th in the nation. That's not everybody can say that.
And so now Braxton is actually, have you checked in with him? He's out in the field?
He is.
And
he's currently working in a foreman type position. Yep.
That's awesome.
Doing a little framing and a little bit of everything in between, I think.
That's great. And then we'll have Yasmin and Kellen on as guests too in the future, but they were both our part of our inaugural TAP class. Was that 4 years ago? So this is pretty neat to see the fruit of that TAP program and what it produces. And then we get them with an awesome instructor like you that really encourages them to go and interview and apply to be a state officer. Because I know Yasmin and Kellen both said you really were good at encouraging and pushing them. And Yasmin said she was about to just not, but you kept encouraging. So I think that's great.
The reason is these skills go on, way past construction.
Yes.
They're going to improve them throughout the rest of their lives. No matter what they go do as career, these are going to be valuable skills that they have now.
Skills go on. Okay, so one last thing we're going to talk about is you actually are doing your fundraiser right now. So tell us what your fundraiser is for your program.
Every year the students, they build a hunting blind. It's a 6-foot octagonal shaped hunting blind. It's really pretty nice. I'm a hunter myself, so of course I'm trying to make it fit me even. But it's a great little hunting blind. It would be, if you went and bought one, it would be right up there. I mean, it's really worth the money. And we're selling chances to win it. $10 each, $10 a ticket.
So that would be an incredible deal if you just bought a couple tickets and you won
Absolutely.
that.
And
Awesome.
it's like I say, that fundraiser helps pay for when we go to contests or student meals. It helps the students out so much.
Okay.
So what are the dates and cutoff on that?
So November 1st is when we're going to draw. So up until then, you can buy a ticket, basically.
Okay.
You know.
And they can contact you or
Yep.
follow us on all social media pages, and we share about it there. And have your phone number is 580-571-6131.
Yep.
Or just call High Plains and ask for Pake Carlson.
That's it.
If you can't remember. All right. Well, thank you, Pake. We hope everyone has a great day.
All right. Thank you for having me.